Well, I was not aware of the fact that it has to be a podium speech for 10 minutes on the subject, but more of a conversation. Uh, but I think it was very insightful of what I heard from each of the panelists, and it's an absolute delight to be part of this panel where you have. I think the mix here is very eclectic. Somebody represents an university which is known for, I think, the first example of private investment into academia. BITS Pilani is a finest example of, imagine a technological institution of such high repute starting off many, many years back in one of the remotest part of the country. We have representatives from VCs from two of the new age private universities. And of course, we have representation from the industry from Microsoft. Again, what she spoke of, the kind of investment, the kind of thought process, and Microsoft being one of the largest organization globally, not only limited to their aim in profit, but they have been consistently doing work for the society, for academia, and there are numerous such examples, which is there. So I represent an organization which is more from the consulting space. I've been, since I was told that I need to tell a little bit more about myself, so I've been a banker. I've been part of the insurance industry, and it's been more than a decade that I'm part of this industry called international property consulting. So I represent an organization called Savills, which is almost a 170-year-old organization, and we started our operation in India 5 years back. But there are many other players who are there in this industry, like Jones Lang LaSalle, where I used to work earlier. I set up the HR function there, and now I lead the people function for Savills. There's CB Richard Ellis, Cushman Wakefield. Why I'm taking these names is they're fairly large global conglomerate, and one of the biggest challenge that we as an industry today face is lack of talent. And from the time for more than a decade, I think that's consistently one thing that we have dealt with. And one of the key reasons is probably there are not enough of the kind of talent that we expect or we need are being produced from academia or from university. Now I will share my thoughts around, since we are talking of bridging the gap between classroom and industry, and how do we, and the partnership we are talking about academia and industry. To me, I think even today, and specifically in India, the gap is still pretty huge. I understand that we are talking of NEP, the new education policy. There are various thoughts which are there. But in terms of real-time partnership, I think there's a long, long way that we need to go. I travel quite a bit. I love speaking in various forums. I interact with a lot of students across the university. But one thing time and again comes out is the gap which is visible in terms of it just looks like as if you get transported in a very different world. Okay, I mean, today we are talking of things which are changing at a very, very fast pace. We are talking of AI, we are talking of machine learning, we are talking of ChatGPT. There's so many things we are talking of. It's a changing, fast-paced world. Now, if you really look into academia, how much of it, forget about courses which basically brings in some of those elements, but how much of it is really visible in the working of the academia world? I mean, how much of, for example, if you talk of AI today, AI as a tool is being used in HR. It's being used. I mean, I'm talking of any private enterprise in sales, predictive science, in a lot of usage which is there. Do we really see the degree of usage in in the academia world in India? Probably not as much as it would be. It should be. Now, when we talk about gaps, I think gaps are there at various levels. We talk about, we spoke about the different kind of partnership interaction that need to happen or happens between industry, and academics. One of the key elements, I think, is limited to internship, and we spoke here about internship, and very rightly pointed out, where we said that, today, even today, the interaction with industry is limited to internship, which is a must to be done for some of the courses. It is limited to some of this kind of interaction. You have conferences, you have guest lectures. But do we really strive to, bring in industry where, we have leaders coming in and trying to give mentorship to students? There's a huge sense of contribution that everybody has within themselves. They really want to contribute. People do want to contribute. I mean, there's so much of lack, which is there in everybody's life. Are we trying to address, academia is trying to address that element and bringing in people at various level of interaction, in terms of mentorship, so that students are more ready to face the, the new world, to face the industry, once they come out of the university. I mean, I've been in the banking world. I think, where our biggest strive, we used to come out with finishing school. When we used to talk of finishing school, we used to say that, it's more in terms of private bankers getting ready to face the real world of private banking. Because what you come with as an education don't really take you to where you are supposed to deliver. In our industry, for example, it's a real estate consulting industry. We have been consistently, for example, hiring students from institutions like School of Planning and Architecture. We realized that the kind of people that we need in our industry is just not there. The first expectation was come up with the short-term courses for students of SPA. We came up with a 3 months program, we invested on it. Still, it was not enough. Then we went to some of the private universities, and finally we came out with a joint program. Now, why do you invest on a joint program? Because what is available as a curriculum is not good enough for the talent that we need for our industry. You need to invest once somebody comes in, and there is always that time period that you need to give before somebody is ready to start delivery. Now, that's the time period which might not be available in a lot of industry. Okay, and many of this fast-pacing industry are, look very different. They're margin-driven. There's only that much investment they can do. I think in terms of investment, endowment fund is completely missing in India. Today, if you really look at US, UK, in today's world, and don't mind my saying so, but except I think IIT Chennai and some of these places where you have alumni, you have some a lot of private investment which has happened, but it is, if you want to invest, come out with a new university. I might as well, because that's more of a profit making dream that you have. Because if you come out with, you invest in academics, where you invest through a new university. I mean, there are so many private universities which has mushroomed in last 15 years, if you really look at. Now, is it really, but which is very different from what is happening outside. It is more in terms of investment in research. It is more investment in new technology. You come out with a new school within, some of the well-known universities. Do we really see that kind of, investment endowment, funds coming in? The answer is no. Okay, I mean, it's 300 billion is the amount they talk of in US today, which is there on endowment funding. Hardly anything is there in a place like India. So I think, again, I think it's a very touchy point. Even in terms of what you pay to a highly qualified professor, there's a huge gap between industry and academia. Nobody talks about it. I mean, for example, personally speaking, I love talking about it. I have my co-brother, he is IIT IIM, worked in US. Suddenly one day he decided to do his PhD, went to INSEAD, completed his PhD, joined one of the IIMs, very well-known professor. But 20 years back, what was his salary? Till today, he's not getting that. Okay, so, that's the kind of difference that exists. And why, but that difference is not in existence, outside India. So I think, there is a lot of, these are all calling for investment. Investment, you need to, invest on people, you need to invest on infrastructure, you need to invest on certain ideas. So I think that is something which is, you need to invest in technology. People talked about bite-sized education. Today, in the corporate world, hybrid education is what matters. Bite-sized education, these are like given. How much of it is there in existence when, in graduate programs or undergraduate or postgraduate programs? Hardly there. We are talking of the world is changing at a very fast pace. There is so much which is happening. For example, personally speaking, I was the last person who ever wanted my daughter to go abroad for studies, at least for undergraduate. She decided to do a course which is not even available in India. Now, the point is that is the struggle today we have, and I think there's a long way to go in terms of, I want to trigger those thoughts, not really limit myself to nice words, but I think there's a huge gap in terms of investment in people, investment in infrastructure. I mean, today if you go to a corporate, everybody is talking, we are into workplace consulting. Workplaces has to look very different. Today there's a lot of investment which is happening into, workplaces has to be designed in certain ways so that people thrive. You have new thoughts coming in. How does the workplace look for a professor, for a academician? It is those four walls of cabins. That's the world that is in existence. Will that work really, environment make you thrive, with new thoughts? The answer is no. So I think there's a lot of new thoughts which has to come in, the way we think, the way we approach, the new world, and that gap need to be bridged. I think more and more such dialogues are important, more and more such conversations are important, and we need to think very differently. Thank you very much.